Welcome back, guys, to another Road to Platinum video. Today, as you guys can see on the screen, we're here with Horizon Zero Dawn. If you don't know how these videos work, I'm going to give a review on the game as well as my journey for the Platinum. We're going to start off today with the review section. Let's start with the story. The story has you taking control of a character named Aloy. She's an outcast because she is motherless. She was found in the mountain that her tribe is around, and they just considered her an outsider because she doesn't have a mom. An outcast, I mean. Her adventure leads her away from her tribe and into the wasteland that is Colorado. During her journey, she will find new characters to what the fuck? Hold on. I'm sorry, I always write these, but I talk into my phone to write them, and sometimes words get jumbled. During her journey, she will find new characters and new things to fight, as well as uncover new mysteries of the past. Aloy's main goal is to stop Hades from creating enough machines to destroy the world. Hades is it's an AI virus that was put in place to help fix the world. But going unchecked, is ruining the world. So her job is to stop it. That's as far as I really want to get into the story because, as you guys know, I don't want to spoil the story, but I think I'm gonna start actually talking about the story here pretty in the next Road to Platinum videos to come. I think I actually want to talk about the story a good little amount, and then I'll just put like a spoiler warning before it. Let me know if you guys want to see it work that way, because I'm really thinking about doing it that way. As you guys know, I like these videos to be kind of a guide to let you know. Hold on. I like these videos to be a guide. That's the main reason why. Oh, not even a guide. I just want you to watch them before you go out and buy the game. That's usually why I skip talking about the story. But I think the story is really good. I enjoy all the different characters we meet and all the new different story arcs the game has. And yeah, I also just love the fact that there's so much mystery to so much of the game. Because you go somewhere, it answers questions, but then it leaves you with more. But the story ended up wrapping up nicely, leaving a lot of questions answered. Now we're going to get into the world design of the game and everything the world has to offer, including side content and things like that. The world is pretty large, and it takes place in Colorado, as I said. The world is varied in multiple ways. There's forest, desert, swamp, city ruins, snowy mountains, and underground caves. There's also underground city ruins, which is pretty cool. The world is beautifully put together and area designs work really well. One thing I would like to say that I enjoyed so much about the open world was how free it was to explore. There's very few areas where I was limited, and I could explore everywhere because I could rock climb. I could you could choose your way up a lot of stuff by just spamming jump. And I mean, there's just very little limit to exploration besides the map limits. You know what I mean? The out of bounds area. But overall, the world is just vastly free. And exploring is really well, and stealth works really well. They place things in just the right spots to make stealth really good. Let's see. Now, that's really all I want to talk about the world. Just the world is pretty. I mean, you can see it in the footage right here. And it's very easy to explore because there's very little limits to anything. So, now we're going to talk about side quests. Oh wait, no, hold on. Now we're going to talk about side content as a whole. There are many things to do, such as cauldrons, which will help you override new machines, so you clear through an area by doing different puzzles and parkour, and then you'll have a boss at the end. and then you'll be able to override new machines because you'll hack into the main system. There are bandit camps, which are outposts. You just clear them out, and it'll be a new safe area with a merchant and a save point. That's something else I like. You have to go to a camp to save the game. You have to go to a campfire, and I just thought that was really cool. Made it a little more immersive. There are also many side quests, which I'll get a little more into in a second, but there's not too much to talk about them. There are hunting grounds, which are little challenges that are timed. And if you get them done fast enough, you get a special rewards box. And this is just a random loot pool of resources. That's all you get out of them as resources. But then once you do all of them I think you can just get bronze ratings on all of them. Once you do all of them and then do I think there's 3 quests to do after it, you get a special weapon that you only can get from that quest line. So that's something that's super cool. There's also collectibles such as ancient debris, ancient vessels is what they're called, and it's cups, it's mugs. They don't know what they are though. There are also little toys you can collect, Banuk dolls, I believe they're called, something like that. And there are data points, which are everywhere, and they actually build up the lore around the world. And there's a lot of very interesting stories hidden behind data points, so I recommend finding them and actually listening to them and things like that because they are truly interesting. There are also metal flowers, which are they're just collectibles. You just go pick them up. There's like a little search radius on the map, and then you go get them. And the lore behind them is they were used to germinate the earth when it was reconstructed after the society collapsed. Now to the side missions. There are probably around, not even kidding, probably 100 or so side missions. They are very RPG-like because they are mainly fetch quests. You just go to an area, collect this, come back, and some of them are just purely go to this area, kill this machine, come back with very little story. There's a few side quests that like branch out and things like that, but it's a lot of go here, kill this, come back type of thing. You know, it's nothing. They don't add mystery like the main story does for a lot of them. Some of them are really well done, and they do add to the lore of the world quite a bit. But a lot of them are just purely fetch quests, and just they feel like work. But I still somehow enjoyed them. It's really weird. I think it's because I enjoy the combat, and that's why I was okay with the side quests being like this. They don't reward you with much, though. They don't give you any weapons or outfits usually. There's a few of them that give you weapons, but you don't get those usually until the end of the game is when you're probably going to be able to get majority of those. But yeah, they usually just give you XP as well as they usually give you XP and reward boxes, which work the same. It's just random supplies that is in a loot pool. Now I'm going to talk about gameplay, which will be combat, enemies, game systems, and overall exploration. First off, we'll start with combat. You are going to be using multiple different bow types, as well as your spear for close range melee. I'll talk about the spear first because there's not much to talk about, but it is a fairly weak weapon that you will be purely using to finish off enemies if they have low health or if to sneak attack, and it's also you'll use it for critical attacks. It gets fairly decent when you get to the DLC though. The DLC introduces mods for your spear, which will just make it a little more powerful. The bow weapons, on the other hand, there are many different variants. All of them are super powerful. You have sharp shot bows, which will deal more damage, but are slower to pull back, so they take longer to pull all the way back. And these generally have piercing arrows or like tear arrows, which Arrows create a shockwave that takes off armor plating and different components of the machines, and piercing arrows just deal more damage. Um, you have your standard, I think it's called a hunting bow, and that's going to have almost any type of arrow. You can get fire, acid, normal, piercing, a bunch of stuff. I think there's even frost arrows. I'm not sure if they're in this one. I never got frost arrows because I wasn't really buying weapons. I had like I had 5 bows that I just kept using. Um, sorry. You have the trip caster, which you can use to set up different trip lines, and these could be shock and explosive are the common ones. And when an enemy walks through it, it explodes. You can also have the sling, which there's multiple variants of this, but generally you throw different elemental bombs at enemies. It's just a slingshot. There are more weapons Aloy has to her disposal, but you probably wouldn't use the majority of them just because they're not good. There's quite a few weapons in the game that just aren't great. There are also heavy weapons, which you see me using one right now, and that is that's the disc launcher. You can shoot components off of machines to get heavy weapons, and they just deal massive amounts of damage. Also, I just really didn't explore any of the other weapons, so that's why I have very little to talk about them, because I have no opinion because I didn't use them. The skill tree is what we're on to now, and this helps you get a lot of new combat abilities. This will help you concentrate longer, which slows down time so you can get precise shots with your arrow. It lets you learn new attacks for your spear. You can attack from below and from above for stealth. And there's a few other just damage increasing skills for the bows and the spear. There's also ones that double how much resources you get off of plants and animals, which is super nice if you like making potions and things like that. And they really just help you collect resources and help you explore. There's 2 skill trees that are focused purely on combat, but the exploration and the resource ones are the big deal, to be honest. I lost my place. Helps you with almost all your resources. It'll help you increase resources. Oh yeah. So you can also learn skills that help you increase your resources, like I was saying. But there's also ones which actually decrease the cost of crafting resources. Or of crafting like ammo and stuff. So there's a lot of skills purely focused on resource management type of thing and crafting. The different enemies in the game are machines, which are many different variants. They're all Ice Age themed or dinosaur themed. So, like, you have saber-toothed cats, which are called sawtooths. But they're like huge as fuck. And then you have like the Thunderjaw, which is the T-Rex. So stuff like that. And then there's also like horses and bulls and cow type of enemies and deer type of machines, stuff like that. There are also human enemies, which are different tribes, as well as your main enemy, which is the cult that worships the corrupted machines in Hades. But there are many different kinds of machines, which is really cool. That was the selling point of the game for a lot of people, was the machines. And just kind of this primitive yet futuristic world. And that's really what got a lot of people hooked, including myself. There's also the Watchers, which are some of the most common enemies, but this is also the enemy that a lot of people know from the game, and they're like little velociraptor type things. But they aren't super deadly just because they're some of the beginning machines, and we got actual velociraptors in Forbidden West. There's also giant flying dinosaurs, the whole 9 yards. Truly, there's just so many different machines, and I can't get into all of them. And then for the human enemies, there's not much to talk about. They're your average enemies, You got bow guys who shoot from a distance. You have spear guys who run up will try to hit you. And then you have heavy machine guys, which have more health, but they use heavy weapons. So the game systems I want to talk about are the skill tree, which I already mentioned the majority of it. But you get these skills by leveling up, and you can also get skills for just finishing certain quests and doing certain side content. But you can also craft in the game, which is not your normal crafting. Well, there is normal crafting. You can craft inventory upgrades and things like that. But you can also add modifications to your armor and weapons to increase certain aspects, such as fire resistance. You can increase fire damage, things like that. You can also craft ammo on the go because you're going to be using ammo constantly. You're going to constantly be running out. You can also craft different traps and potions. Potions can do multiple things. They can give you some boosts they can give you some boosts like extra health, extra resistance to this, purely heal you, stuff like that. And then there's traps, which you have shock, explosive, fire, stuff like that, and the enemy just has to walk on it and it'll explode, dealing high amounts of damage. The final thing I want to talk about real quick before giving my overall review of the game and then moving on to the DLC is I want to talk about the exploration as a whole. So you can get mounts which will speed up exploration a lot, but there's also... But what the fuck did I write? Oh, that's it. I just wanted to talk about mounts. I don't know why I wrote that like that. I don't remember the... What the fuck? I don't know what I wrote here. But there's like 4 different machines you can mount. There's chargers, striders, and then there's 2 more that I can't remember the name of. Broadheads, you can mount those, and then there's 1 more. I don't remember it. Okay, sorry. But my overall score on the game is going to be a 9 out of 10. This is one of the coolest games I've ever seen, to be honest, and it's one of the best games of the PlayStation 4's life cycle, in my opinion. Now we are going to get into Frozen Wilds DLC. In the Frozen Wilds DLC, it adds new story missions, a new area to explore, as well as a whole new skill tree and some new weapons as well. There are also a few outfits. This DLC has a really cool story that involves demons, in quotes, demons. And it has to do with the Banuk tribe and their faith. Basically, it's a lot of demons and gods for this DLC. But mainly what happens is an AI invades the machines and makes them even more dangerous. There's a lot of really good parkour in the area and a few quite... What the fuck did I write? Oh, and quite a few new machines. There are also these pillars that will make enemies stronger and weaken your shield weaver armor, unless you override them, and then it'll go back to normal. It's just a new little gameplay mechanic. There's a whole new skill tree called the Traveler, and it's a really good skill tree. It makes it easier to obtain resources, and it focuses a lot on your mounts and repairing them. And the DLC also has about a 7-hour story, as I said, and it's just a fun DLC. It doesn't have anything too new other than the machines itself, but it's a breath of fresh air because of the difficulty of the DLC. And the new machines and the different gameplay mechanics, such as those pillars I was talking about. One thing that I found out that I did not know going into this game was that the DLC actually adds side quests to the base game. So I don't know what the new side quests are, but there's new side quests on the base map from the DLC. But that's all I have to say about the DLC. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's a solid DLC. It's one of the better DLCs for a game in general, just because it adds a lot of new stuff to the base world map. But it also adds a new area, weapons, outfits, and machines to fight, and a whole new story. It's a solid DLC. The story is actually really cool. I also enjoyed the new gameplay mechanics and being able to fight the new machines because they are just tough and they have really cool designs. So in total, the game gets an 8.5 because, I mean, you know how to do math. Now to the platinum portion of the video, which will be fairly short because everything's straightforward. The platinum took me approximately 28 hours to do, and the DLC also took me about 6 hours to play through. I didn't go for 100% trophies for all the DLC trophies. I eventually will, but I kind of got annoyed with the game at the end, and I didn't want to play anymore, so I'll eventually do it. It'll just be later, and I might make like an update video on that. All the trophies are fairly straightforward, and none of them are missable. There's one that is technically missable, but you can get it because no matter what, because the game spawned you right before the final mission. So you can always get that trophy no matter what. But majority of these trophies, to be honest, you can get from naturally just playing through the game, and the majority of the trophies should be done once you go through the map and clear all the collectibles. And you don't have to do every side quest. I just chose to because I needed to level up quite a bit. But once you clear the map and beat the main story, you should have almost all the trophies. There's going to be a few things that you have to do that aren't like tied around collectibles and missions, but they should take you maybe 4 hours in total because it's just random little things you have, like overriding machines, kill one of every machine, and also for killing machines that does not count as corrupted machines. Corrupted machines do not count as a kill on that base machine. So that is something to remember for the trophy. It hurt my head when trophies weren't popping. There's also a few combat challenges where you have to like get a certain amount of sneak kills, strike from above, things like that. And there's really only one other thing that the game doesn't really tell you, and it's the Grazer Dummies. They're little Grazer. It's a type of machine, and it's just a hay dummy with some armor on it, but they're riddled throughout the map, like 23 of them, and you have to hit them all. But it should take you like 10 minutes if you look up a guide. And to get the Shield Weaver armor for the quest, just look up a guide because the power cells are all over the map in different areas. They're all in main story locations, but they're way out of your way. So I missed like 2 or 3 of them. But yeah, that's going to do it for this Road to Platinum video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you guys want to see on the channel in the future. And don't forget to check out the Twitter. Link is in the description. But with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Stay safe out there, and peace out.